Let's get going. For those that are here, we have a sparse audience today. If anybody needs to take a break, it's out the door down the hall to the right. If we need to leave this room for any reason whatsoever, we go back down the steps out the front door, take a left, and then rally around behind this building with the rest of the folks from the Research Council. For those of you that are that happen to be watching online, if you go to the advisory panel tab, advisory panel documents, you'll see the agenda and presentation today. I'll give you a little bit of warning. We were having a little problem with the live streaming video earlier, so if something should happen to go out and you have if you have Lou's email or anyone's here, just give us a shout and let us know. The audio was working, so all of that will hopefully stay up. Let's go ahead and do our introductions.
Chip Boyles with the Planning District Commission and MPO.
Mark Graham, Albemarle County.
Brad Sheffield, Albemarle County Board of Supervisors.
Chris Engel, City of Charlottesville.
Joel?
Joel DiMenzio, VDOT Charlottesville Residency.
Dave Covington, VDOT Charlottesville Residency.
Linda Collett, VDOT IT Support.
Al Jones, VDOT Charlottesville Residency.
Lou Hatter, VDOT Communications.
Morgan did let me know that he would be here. He plans to be here, but would be late, and I didn't hear from any others. We also have Jeanette Janasek here from the city, who will talk to us a bit about Hillsdale when we get to that update. If you recall, we skipped September 22nd, and then we skipped October the 20th, so folks could go to the Governor's Transportation Conference. We had a slim audience back on October the 6th, 7 viewers. I think that's the first time we've been down in the single digits from our all-time high back 2 years ago when over 100 people were turning in. 10 streams and average streams per minute, 19 minutes per stream. We got 11 emails and phone calls into the email box. One regarding the long crossing times and I should have added that was a pedestrian crossing time at the Rio GSI. You'll recall that Mark brought that up a couple of meetings ago. We went out and took a look at it, and there's been some software improvements in those signals, and I think we reviewed that back on October the 6th with you, that those timings now are working the way they should. And to my knowledge, we haven't had any other calls or on that issue since we implemented those improvements. We actually got one email that was complimentary about adding the pedestrian crossing at the Rio GSI. Did get 4 more notes about signal timing on Route 29. These were all regarding Route 29 southbound. Joel will bring us up to date a little later in the meeting about some continuing improvements. As we've told you, that's something that everybody's continuing to watch and make tweaks, and there have been some more adjustments made since the October 6th meeting. 2 nice notes just complimenting the project team for getting Rio done. One compliment that zeroed in on the communications, the constant communications, the newsletter updates, and the traffic alerts. That was a nice note, I thought, for Lou and everybody involved in the whole communications effort. One asking if the post office will be accessible from Hillsdale Extended, and this person, I think, was a lady that had written in. Lou explained that no, the post office wouldn't be accessible. But Lou, why don't you tell them what you told me about the option that is available there?
Yeah, one thing that will change, what she was complaining about is the fact that if she's on Hillsdale, she has to come out to 29, go south on 29, then make a U-turn to come back up and get into the post office. And once Hillsdale is complete, she will be able to continue south on Hillsdale, come out through the Seminole Square Shopping Center to the signal there, and then turn right and go north on 29 back to the post office. So it's not a perfect solution, but it's certainly a little bit easier and more convenient than what she's doing now.
Thank you, Lou. Wants Joel to put the Carsbrook speed bumps back, and I believe we've settled on those are out and aren't going back in. They were put there as a temporary traffic calming measure during the construction at Rio, if you recall, because we wanted to be careful with any cut-through traffic. One asking for additional advanced signing about the lane assignments approaching Rio, and really haven't had this comment from too many people. I think it's kind of be expected in the change that was made there. Some folks still had some questions about, well, wait a minute, I didn't realize I needed to be in the left lanes or I needed to be in the right lanes. But we've got the overhead signs up, and if you will recall, part of the work we did was to pull those overhead signs back further away from the GSI. We've got the ground-mounted signs up. The shield markings now are down on the pavement as well. We don't plan to do any more signing for the lanes, and I personally don't think there's any need to. I think we're in pretty good shape there, and that'll continue to work itself out. One requested that a speed trailer that was located on Burkmar Drive be removed, and it's been removed. No new postings on the website, no phone calls to the hotline, so things calming down there. We talked a couple of meetings about the pedestrian crossing median islands. Hi, Henry. Hi, Kristen. Yes. We talked a couple of times about that and about whether or not the stamped asphalt would be on the median islands. And I think we've got some pictures now, Morgan and I think I exchanged a note with all of you all, actually, on this, that help show how this looks now. This is sort of the before situation. Had the stamped crosswalk, here are the median islands we've been talking about, but the pedestrian crossing doesn't go on the median islands, it goes through the median islands, and now those have been, that stamped pattern has been placed in that median area, which was a separate operation from the larger crosswalk. Go to the next one. So here you can actually see it between the islands. So the pedestrian crosswalk with the stamped aesthetic feature goes completely across from one side to the other on the east side of Rio, across 29, and on the west side of Rio. I know Morgan was very interested in this, and these pictures helped him see that we did indeed carry this through. As far as the islands themselves, they have the yellow pavement marking now around them, which was something we talked about as well. That was put down as part of the permanent pavement, permanent striping. Any question about the head and crosswalk?
Looks good,
Thank you. Yeah.
very good. Kind of integrates the walks.
Yes, yes.
I think somewhere on the renderings it was shown that way too.
It was shown that way on the, I can't quite remember the renderings. It was shown that way on the plans for the hardscape that actually came from SELC that we incorporated into the project. Any agenda items for our next meeting? Thing you want us to be thinking about, Chip? Mark? Kristen?
I'd like to talk about some additional signage, and I wrote up a memo with some drawings attached, and if you don't mind, I'll...
Is this the Albemarle Square?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And
Well, why don't we give them a little background?
if you don't mind, I'd like to read
Yeah, go ahead.
the memo for everyone.
Go ahead.
And we're getting it too.
Yes, you got it right now, including pictures, but I read you the memo. It's only a page long. And it's directed from me to all panel members, and it says, at the request of Albemarle Square Shopping Center, I'm proposing the addition of 4 panels to existing sign structures to safely direct traffic to the center, which are illustrated at the end of this memo. As a consequence of the GSI project, Albemarle Square has lost the traffic light at their entrance on US 29. This creates a lot of confusion for their patrons, especially those that are southbound, that in the past would have made a simple and safe left turn at the traffic light. With the new traffic pattern, the southbound patrons must know that they need to use the local lanes and then turn left on Rye Road in, I say, Seaside Lane. From a safety point of view, once on Rye Road, they should continue straight to the Rye Road entrance of the shopping center and not try to attempt making a U-turn into a stretch of the road that has a certain amount of weaving traffic. Sign B shows a straight arrow rather than a curved one, similar to the arrow for downtown, and this is to direct them to the other entrance. The northbound traffic may be alerted to the fact that they must use the local lanes to enter the shopping center safely, even although the center is visible from the true lanes after leaving the GSI. And again, there's a sign that illustrates what I think needs to be done. Please note that the panels have white lettering on bronze background. This color is regularly used to indicate attractions. Such is the case with the Mickey Tavern sign on the recently reconstructed US 29, US 250 rack. Mickey Tavern is a commercial enterprise. It was built on its current site in 1928. It recreates history, but it is not an historical site per se. It is an attraction as many others in the state. Shopping centers are also attractions since they combine at one location a number of retail businesses. In the case of Albemarle Square, it contains 20 active businesses, soon to be joined by a Texas Roadhouse restaurant, and has the potential, when fully leased, to reach over 30 businesses. An ACAC fitness center and the fresh market supermarket anchor the shopping center. There is no reason why Albemarle Square may not qualify as an attraction with its corresponding signage, especially considering that there are safety issues involved as well. The Charlottesville Regional Chamber of Commerce and its North Charlottesville Business Council have expressed support for this request.
In full disclosure, before you all discuss it, Henry has talked to me a couple of times about this and sent this same information to me. I disagree with his opinion about any safety issues. And I told Henry that after considering this and looking at it, I would not recommend to VDOT any such signing for a business area. It's not the purpose of signing. It has no comparison to Mickey Tavern, in my view. But y'all are certainly free to discuss it. And if you have a different opinion you'd like to recommend to VDOT, that's fine.
What are the rules about a business putting signage on the median or alongside of this road?
Well, there's a program for signing that we've used here as the Todd's program that we made available at no cost to businesses through August.
But I mean now, like
Now?
as part of the ongoing, like if Albemarle Square wanted to put a sign on the median that said this, but do it themselves, can
No,
they do that?
not in the right way.
Right.
I would have to approve by VDOT, but I think there must be a process. I understand that Mickey Tavern pays a fee, an annual fee for it. They also pay for the sign and they pay for replacements of the sign, so it's.
They participate in a,
system.
yeah, as I told you, they participate in a program. There's another program available for businesses, and it's the TODS program that you apply for and make an application and pay a fee for after, at least after this period, you would pay a fee for it, fee for it.
But Mickey Tavern does not use the TOD signs, it uses.
Supplemental guide signs.
Yeah, it's a different
What do you call
program.
it?
Supplemental guide signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is really what I'm making a pitch, since I'm the
Yeah.
only business community representative left on this panel. I feel I have to make this pitch because when we had big arguments about bypass, no bypass, it was always, oh, but you don't have to worry because we'll give you good signage and whatever. Well, this is a good example of, some decent signage. It's not unusual. It's done, obviously, it's not Henry's invention. I had some inventions before that didn't fly. But that's a different story. This is not an invention. This is just something that I think should be done. It's 4 little panels, and it's not unusual. It's common.
You all are free. I've been very clear about my feeling. It is nothing I would recommend. It would be unusual. It's not treating all businesses equally. Traffic lights aren't put in place for the purpose of a business. They're put in place to control traffic. We did make a change. There's certainly no argument there. This is just not something I would recommend. If you all would like to discuss it and make a recommendation, I'm going to certainly pass that on to VDOT. They're sitting right here, and pass it on up the chain to VDOT.
Is your concern that this sign would eventually say Albemarle Square, Wendy's, Hardee's?
No.
And, I mean, is that,
Well, sure.
is it the slippery slope
Why,
argument that you're-
it's not a signing protocol that's in place that I'm aware of, and I do believe it would cause other businesses to wonder why they might not have the same argument, the same
or to have cause
position.
to argue that they did?
Yeah,
Well, it's not a business, it's an attraction that contains potentially over 30 businesses. So it's a different animal. It's not a car wash, I'm sorry, it's an attraction. It's something that, it's a destination, and it's something that was easy to access, and now, the biggest concern is the safety of getting on Ryer Road, making the right turn, and then making an immediate U-turn, and then trying to turn all the way to the right. When there are already issues there, you're just aggravating the issue. You want to make sure they keep going on Ryer Road once they make the turn, and then get into the entrance. So I don't think this is anything outrageous. I don't know why you're so.
I appreciate it.
On your mind on this thing that.
It's not my decision to make.
Yeah.
It's not my decision to make. It's not a recommendation I would agree with.
Hey, Philip, can I just?
Yeah.
The supplemental guide, the reason we are where we are right now is supplemental guide signs that Mickey Tavern is under right now. It specifically excludes shopping centers from that program, okay? By the Virginia Logos program. The program, the TODS program, where we did the blue signs, that's a different program. However, you would do individual businesses.
Yeah.
So the issue from VDOT right now is it's not an acceptable. It's actually shopping centers are excluded from basically the brown sign and supplemental guide program at this time.
But green signs are okay.
Green signs are
Blue.
blue. Blue are TODS signs. That's
Now, I've seen green signs too. I didn't
Yeah,
bring the
green, yeah.
picture of that, but some places they're green signs.
Yeah, but the supplemental guide is mostly the brown signs, and they're defined as usually cultural attractions, historic sites, and things like that. Shopping centers are excluded from that program, specifically stated in the program, and that's what it is right now.
Okay.
If that were to change, we could consider it. But
Yeah,
Somebody needs to lobby to change that. Is that like Code of Virginia or where is it?
policy or law?
I would need to look into whether that's policy for Virginia or what part of that is. I've been trying to look through the guidance here while we've been talking about it, just to see.
I don't remember, I think it's an administrative, I think it's a policy that has an administrative regulation attached to it.
I know
But I'm not sure.
Todd's is codified in the Virginia
Yeah.
Code of Regulations. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about this particular.
Yeah,
I would almost guess, because there are some federal restrictions to off-premise advertising.
right.
um,
Yeah,
Which then the states have to follow, which
Yeah.
makes me think it would be codified.
This is not advertising. Already, thanks to Joel, who always knows it, it's a supplemental guidance item. Now the question came up, again, Joel being on the ball, that it is allowed for a whole bunch of uses, attractions, okay? Shopping centers is an attraction, but then he says there's specific language that says shopping centers are excluded. Okay, at least now we know the facts. Then we can keep arguing. But, okay, I have
Yeah.
done my part,
you had.
and like many other things, I have been defeated once more.
But in this case, not by us, but by that guide.
That guy, yeah. So, my
Guide.
friend.
Guide. I need to enunciate more clearly.
Okay, well, at least we know where we stand.
Yeah.
In,
Yeah, and I would encourage Albemarle Square to revisit
maybe they can get a waiver too.
what's acceptable.
Because
And
of a very unique situation where they, A, have been damaged, and B, an unsafe situation has been.
I want to make one thing clear for everyone here publicly. That's your statement that they've been damaged.
Yeah, okay.
That's no one else's statement or conclusion that anyone should draw for any reason. That's not our business to get into that.
Well,
So,
One thing related to it, though, Henry's still talking about the safety, and, we were looking at the accident data. I don't know how far behind.
yeah, we're going to have another update here out on the 17th at our next meeting.
At that point, we could see if there is actually any kind
Not people
of
using it
evidence
that way.
of
Yeah.
traffic issues there.
Well, I know that I'll have the July, the full closure
It'll be a little
state
too
done.
soon.
I'm not sure if I'll have a month after that or not at that point.
Yeah.
If we do that week, I'll have it
Fair enough.
Yeah, so we'll keep up
Tag
with
that,
that.
so to remember to look at.
Yeah.
We'll keep up with that,
All
definitely.
right.
All right, thank you. Look at our milestones. We had to blink light red on the wall staining because it wasn't finished by the end of October, although they're making great progress out there with the walls, with the wall staining, with the landscape, the punch list that they're still working. And I asked Dave that when he does his update on Rio, just to give us a little bit more about that countdown now leading up to December the 2nd, because it's coming up real fast on us here. It's hard to believe, Kristen, that not that long ago, we were in here with no projects in this column. And now we're fewer than 30 days from the Rio GSI being done. The water line going down to 29 widening, the water line relocation continues to move forward. They're still working on the jack and the bore. The phase 7 grading, drainage and pavement up a little bit more as well. Same with phase 2 and the other phases of grading, drainage, and paving. And we've got a traffic shift coming up tomorrow night that we can talk about a little bit more in the updates as well. Bergmar, man, those guys are hitting it out there on the roadway as well as now on the deck. You'll see some pictures later. You'll recall when we went out there, Dave's talked a couple times about the deck pans, and those are actually starting to go down now. So that is pretty exciting to watch. Hillsdale, our utility relocation's complete. The building, that partial building demolition is complete. Starting work on the bridge substructure and the retaining wall, and we'll hear a little bit more from Jeanette when we get into agenda item 6 in Hillsdale, which we're getting ready to do now. Are there any questions on the percent complete?
Yeah, with the staining, so the stainings were done before December, will that be both the 250 and the Rio?
No, they'll finish up the Rio project and then jump up and do what little bit they have on 29 widening. And then they're gonna hold off until the spring for 29-250 because the temperatures are getting too low.
Okay.
Once we get later into December and January.
All right.
So they'll begin that in the spring.
Okay, wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Sure.
Had any of you all had a chance to see some of the staining?
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, I think so. I'm an engineer.
You're supposed-
I know about how things look.
Well, that's right.
No, the staining is going well. Actually, we met with the CVS contractor this morning. They actually asked, who's doing the staining out there? We might want to hire them.
Ah.
Apparently, they thought that they were doing a pretty good
Tell them we know all about color mixing.
I don't know anything about color. Hunt Valley knows a lot about it. But so, update on Rio Grade separated intersection. You can see here, as we've seen over the past few meetings, kind of this workload really dropping off. And what they're working on this week is still working on some of the punch list items. They're probably 95% done with those. We do have some new signal punch list items from an inspection that our regional operations group did. They inspect all signals before they're accepted. And that's part of this list of things we have moving forward, making sure all the bolts are tight, all the wires are crimped correctly, those little electrical things. So they're working on those this week. We'll continue that next week. The wall staining, what do we have, 80% on there?
Yeah.
They're gonna be done next Tuesday or Wednesday, so we're getting really close to the end on the wall staining. They have the planters were installed actually late last week, a little bit ahead of schedule. They were scheduled for this week, so they're out on the bridge deck now, all the rectangular and circular ones. And preparing the signal equipment at the Rio Brookmar intersection and installing the loops, which they're doing this week. So lane closures, well, we'll go ahead and we'll go to the pictures. So this just shows you the crosswalk on the deck. The rectangular planters are there against the parapet wall that we've seen so many times. And then the next picture, you'll see this is looking to the north, so you're able to see the rectangular and the round planters that are there on the deck. And I think, do we have one more?
Yeah, I actually, it's not in there,
Okay.
but tell them where those are.
The round planters are in those little corner islands there, so there are planters in there as well. So for instance, on the north side, we have a total of 7 round planters and then the 3 rectangular planters. On the south side, we have 5 of the round planters and the 3 rectangular planters.
You guys should really feel good about that. I mean,
Yeah, it looks great.
left to our own devices, I don't know that we
Nothing
would have
green
come
would
up with
visit
that by
that.
ourselves.
Are the planters going to be planted this winter, or are they?
Starting next week, late next
Starting
week.
next week.
That's not too late for whatever it's planted to.
No, actually, we've extended the
80
planting
degrees
season
outside.
because of the warm weather we've had. And looking through December, it's actually warmer than normal all the way through December on the projections so far. So, still in the planting season. Okay, so lane closures, nothing new here, 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. when they do need something. I know we will be doing another signal inspection, a follow-up inspection. They need to do short lane closures there to be able to get up in the bucket truck, look at all the signal heads. And then the landscaping at night next week, out on the deck, they'll have to do lane closures to get that work done, bring the soil in, get it into the planters. I think they have a total of 3 days worth of landscaping. That includes the bridge deck and the median on both sides of the project.
Just a question, when do the cameras come down?
When do they come down?
Yeah.
Which cameras?
The 2 cameras, I know you got the new camera on
The Ox Blue ones?
the
Talking about
the ones you
Yeah.
use for the construction phase.
Oh, the south one's already been taken down. We had to take
Okay.
that pole down.
All right.
The north one, we'll take it down after we finish the project, so
December?
somewhere around beginning of December.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah. Unless there's a reason to.
I was
take it
gonna
down
say,
earlier.
you gotta, is there more to that story?
No, I'm just curious, I try to look at the intersection every once in a while. I look
Yeah.
at that camera because I look at the other one. And,
The other one we had to take down earlier
Yeah.
because it was mounted to a signal pole.
That's
Right
right.
there. at
That-
the
yeah.
intersection in National
Yeah.
Bank.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little further away too. I kind of missed it at first as well, but we had to let it go.
All
But
right.
the other one will capture all the way through final completion.
Dave, is the new traffic camera active yet?
Yes.
The 511 camera is working.
Yeah,
Um,
kind of cool.
The other, the 511 cameras.
Yeah.
So, there's two other cameras there that the Traffic Operations Center they can access as well. But, so they're still working on getting those active as part of the signal punch list. So over the next 2 weeks, same kind of thing, general project punch list items. Really not much more there, but the signal punch list items will finish up. We'll have a re-inspection on the 14th. Landscaping the right-of planters starting next week. Finish up the wall staining next week, and Ryo-Burkmar signal installation, and the following week, removal of the existing equipment, existing poles and mast arms and cabinet and all that stuff. So our new signal will be working.
So on the 17th, we could talk about your inspection on the 14th.
We could, you probably wouldn't want to because it's hard to understand, but we can talk
We
about
want to hit
how.
the highlights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Since I
No
wasn't
question.
here when it was decided what would be in those planters, what would be in those planters?
I don't want to tell you right off the top of my head because I don't recall everything that's in there, but it's on our plans.
But I mean, bushes, trees, grass,
It's going to be grasses and flowers. Yeah, no, not trees.
so nothing that provides shade, it's just all.
No.
No.
What we couldn't do is provide something that really limits sight distance.
Right, okay.
So it'll be smaller flowers and shrub, or not.
And perennials, annuals? Is it gonna be something that?
I'll bring that list
Okay.
to the 17th, because I wanted to also,
Sure.
when we get to it, mention something about the Hillsdale landscaping plan as well. But we'll bring that.
Hillsdale or Best Buy?
Best Buy. Best Buy.
It's a little early for Hillsdale.
Yeah.
Good dig up there.
So, over the next 2 weeks, talking about lane closures, same situation. Pretty soon here, we're not gonna need any more lane closures at Rio. We will need some lane closures at night on Rio Road when we do the Ryo-Burkmar signal. So we may have a detour there or kind of running people around the work zone. We don't wanna be, having mast arm poles being set over top of vehicles. We can't have that. So, short duration closures or a little detour route at night. Any questions about Rio? Morgan?
Following up on an email that Philip sent a week or two ago, and y'all covered this before I got here, I apologize for being late. Do you feel like the pedestrian timing signals have been taken care of, checked off the list, everything's working well with those now?
Yeah, we've done several test runs where we do 4 or 5 passes of the entire area. I know Hal did some a couple weeks ago, last week. One of the engineers in the office, Andrew, did some. And we're in the 4.5 to 5 minute range, 4.5 to 5.5 maybe is a high end, to complete all 3 crossings. So from the northeast corner to the northwest corner and vice versa. And we've done that routinely, so we're confident that it's working the way it should.
Did I not send you all the?
did.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
just asking if
Yeah.
is that considered checked off the list now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Consistently working?
It is. And there was an issue there. It was not an issue that we would have intuitively thought. There was a new upgrade from Siemens, who is the controller manufacturer. They provide the software. It had to do with the way that yellow and red times are calculated now. So we made some very, very minute changes to those. We're talking fractions of a second, and it balanced them all out, and it wasn't what it was doing was just skipping some of the
Yeah.
head phases. And that's why it was taking 15, 20 minutes, because it would skip 3 phases. So now it's not skipping those phases.
It was definitely an issue.
Yeah.
We used our pedestrian monitor, Mark Graham, to flesh out.
Okay, any other questions on Rio? Okay, we'll move on to 29 widening, a lot more work here this week. Actually, they already began early this week, Ridgewood Drive excavation. We are constructing a new entrance to Ridgewood as a part of this project. It's not in the same location as the existing driveway, so they've been able to already start that. Grading the curb and gutter locations for the phase 4. So following this traffic shift that occurs last night, they've already got a jump start on doing some of that material, as well as installing some of the backup material to the curb and the locations where they've already poured the curbs. Finalizing structure 8-1, this was the outfall from that pond. Resetting barrier walls for the phase 3 traffic switch is coming up tomorrow night. We do have to move some barrier walls to get them out of the way or protect other things. We do have various culvert installations continuing. Phase 6 striping, they're going ahead and putting the striping in that will be used in phase 6. So what they're doing here is really kind of combining a lot of phases to compress the schedule and minimize the number of shifts they have to do. So the striping that they install now actually will be used permanently in phase 6. Phase 2/5, again, combining some of these phases. Guardrail installation, so they took phase 5 and just combined it with phase 2, moved it up in the schedule. So we'll shift to phase 3 tonight, or excuse me, tomorrow night. Northern waterline crossing is going in this week. Jack and bore on structures 9-2 and 11-1. As Philip mentioned, these are the last 2 structures. We are in the red on that. It's not critical to their schedule, but that task is in the red because of all that rock that we hit earlier on the last 2 structures that we've been talking about for a couple of meetings now. Median curb and sidewalk construction is continuing. Installation of signal boards at Hollymead, they've wrapped that up this week. Phase 3 traffic shift southbound that happens tomorrow night. And seeding, we probably have 1 or 2 other. Okay, go straight to pictures. So you can see a lot of these slopes are looking green now. They've been doing a lot of weekly seeding. This is looking north from the west side of the project. So up ahead you see Asheville Boulevard just over the crest of that hill. And this is all the new pavement they put down. That's 3 lanes wide, curb and gutter, median curb. So that is where the traffic will be shifted to tomorrow night. So they'll have 2 lanes there. They'll keep the median lane, the one closest to the median, closed so that they can have access to the median while they're doing that work for the next phase. And this shows the installation of some of the guardrail there on the southbound lanes. This is about halfway between Asheville Boulevard and Polo Grounds Road on the new lanes. So,
Hey Dave, why don't you just review the shift again? What's going to happen from what to what?
So the phase 3 shift is moving the southbound traffic to the new lanes. So currently they're in the middle in that median area. They're going to move over to the future southbound lanes that were just constructed. Then there's some work that has to be done in there, about 2 weeks worth of work. So on the 18th, we'll have another shift where we'll move the northbound traffic over to where the southbound traffic is today, to that median area. And then they begin construction on the east side of the road, similar to what they're just wrapping up on the west side of the road.
So after this weekend, the southbound traffic's where it's permanently going to be.
Yes.
And then by the end of November, the northbound traffic will be where it's permanently going to be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right. Yeah. So then that work, we have to widen out, because right now we have 2
On the
lanes.
east side, yeah.
We have to widen out, construct that 3rd lane, construct the shared use path, and then move the water line.
Right.
And then make all those connections to driveways and Ashwood and Hollymead, both Hollymead drives. That's the simplification of all the phases that got jammed together and wrapped around.
Down to 2.
Right. Okay. So lane closures, periodically they'll have a nighttime left to right lane closure. I expect over the next couple of weeks as they prepare for the phase 4 shift, they'll be doing a little bit more night work. So we may see a couple of lane closures at night, but really nothing out of the ordinary of what we've been seeing for about 1.5 years now. Over the next 2 weeks, much of the same, placing base stone on the crossovers. So the reason that there's 2 weeks between the phase 3 shift and the phase 4 shift is they have to construct those crossovers to move that northbound traffic over, just like they did for the southbound traffic. So that they'll be placing base stone on that and building those. median strip and under drain installations in those locations, subgrade for South Hollymead right turn lane. So they're actually widening out a right turn lane there to feed South Hollymead Drive. Curb and gutter installations, prepping all the driveway entrances for that grading, because in some cases we're raising or lowering the grade of 29. Temporary culverts and ditches, pavement striping on the north end, mill and overlay on the north end of the project, full depth widening of the southbound lanes on the very north and south end, because they actually have to do a phase shift. So they'll shift the majority of it and then later come back right there at the intersection. They've run into an issue with one of the utility lines, so they're working around that. But that's why they have to do that full depth widening on southbound lanes. Permanent drainage structure installations, jack and bore, again, the structures 9.2 and 11.1. Under drain installation, median strip construction, ground mounted signs. These are the permanent ground mounted signs will start going in, and they begin the landscaping, I believe, the week after next on 29 widening. So go ahead and do all that landscaping on the west side of the road, and then in the spring or early summer, do the landscaping on the east side of the road.
And that in the spring then would be the landscaping between the back of the curb and the shared use path?
Yes.
Because remember, we talked about, there wasn't anything planned to go in there, and we talked about putting some appropriate planting there.
And we put trees everywhere we could where it wasn't creating a site distance
Right.
issue.
Dave, on the jack and bore, we had to take our best shot at it. When do we think that'll be over now?
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's assuming they don't hit more rock.
Yeah.
It's actually more like a micro tunneling operation, which is what
Yeah.
creates some of these issues. They're actually rather large. And we have one that was 72-inch jack and bore, so. Okay, any questions on 29 widening?
How have things gone, either you or Joel, as far as traffic circulation in and out of the neighborhoods around 29 widening?
It's been good. We've had a couple of little issues. The predominant issue coming out of Ashwood Boulevard it is not an issue anymore, but it was due to using the detection cameras, which usually work off of, they're infrared, they work off of a heat signature. And when the sun was coming up in the morning, it was just at the right angle to get into that camera view for a short window. And ironically, I've seen that happen in other places around the state.
Right, just as people are getting ready to go to work, right?
Right. So now that the sun's coming up later and setting, well, it doesn't affect the
Next week
sun
it'll be
setting.
different.
Yeah. So we're not having that issue anymore. Aside from that, it's been very good, actually. We thought that we would have more issues coming out of Ashwood, but aside from the issues with the detection, we haven't had those issues. We also cut in some loops there on Ashwood so that we would not have that problem with the detection camera. Hollymead's been fine. We don't have nearly as much traffic.
Okay.
We'll move on to Berkmar. This one as well has a lot of work going on. We're always working on erosion control on a 2.2 mile project of pretty much open grade. But we have moved into placing the base stone. So we've got a couple pictures that we'll look at in a moment that show some of that. Subgrade, fine grading. They've been working on that as well. Above the slope protection this week. Undercuts in a couple locations where they had some bad soil. Finalizing ponds 2 and 5. Edge form installations on the bridge. Abutment A MSE panels as they're bringing that grade back up. Seeding, they seed weekly on 29 widening and on Berkmar. In fact, I think they're out today. Abutments A and B drainage and under drains. Ponds 4, 7, and 8 structures, so getting those ponds kind of in the middle to the north part of the project completed and functional. Stay in place forms, which are the deck pans that Philip was talking about that we do have some pictures of. Stud welding on the bridge girders themselves to similar to the piles that we saw on the Rio GSI bridge that have the studs sticking out for the concrete to adhere to. Electrical service installations at Hilton Heights and Town Center where the 2 roundabouts are, and continuing the light pole foundations on the north side of Town Center. So if we look at this, this is all new stone that was put in early this week, and they've continued doing that. Lane Corman is still shooting to hopefully get asphalt on this year, but at a minimum, the vast majority of the project will be on stone. They're grading out for curb and gutter, as well as the sidewalk and shared use path.
Were we at this location
We are,
on our review when we went out?
We went up there.
yeah,
Where were we?
just over the hill and to the right is
Bridge.
where that hill
Yeah.
is, where the bridge is.
Yeah.
So looking south, you can almost see the.
That was our second stop.
Yes, yeah.
Well, okay, the logging road where we went out, this is just south of that.
Yeah.
So next picture, we talked about the abutment diaphragms.
This is the punishment area.
Oh.
Where if you've not been nice, you get this assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this picture and wanted Dave to explain it to
You know, it dawned on me that.
So this is within the bridge between those things.
Yeah, actually, what we're looking at is to the left is what we call the back wall. So
Oh,
behind.
I got it, okay,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
So we're kind of looking perpendicular
Yes.
to the bridge. And then the diaphragm basically takes all of the girders and links them all together. So there's a concrete wall with those girders going in so that everything stiffens up and moves as a single unit instead of rotating and twisting. But this is the channel through, so I wanted everybody to be able to get a picture of what this diaphragm looks like, what it is. It's a big, massive concrete, that's what it is.
And why would he be in?
Well, we were in
No.
there just checking it. doing
Besides,
inspection.
because it's what you do for fun.
No, we went in and inspected it and looked at, there's actually a joint beneath, because this thing will move a little bit. It is independent, it still sits on those bearings. But this is also a drainage way that slopes down, so we're making sure that it was sloped and drains out, because right above his head, you can see a little space up there that has some plywood and 2x4s on it, is where the finger joints of the bridge will be. So water can go down through the finger joints, it drops down into this and then drains out. Because, water is the bridge's worst enemy, so we want to make sure this is functioning well.
So we've all driven over those joints on the top.
Are all joints like that over things like this?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So there's a lot more components to a bridge than you see from just driving by it on the road. But we're hoping we don't have people living in these, but we'll see.
And now you've kind of opened up that possibility.
Well, they might get a little wet. Okay, so deck pans. This is what deck pans look like. This is a kind of unique design of deck pans. Usually they're a little bit wider and they'll go one up, one down, one up, one down, but this is the design for this bridge. So what we're looking at here is these are the tops of the steel girders, and then these are aluminum deck pans. They're lightweight. They go in one at a time, so it's a time-consuming process. I couldn't tell you how many there are. There's a whole lot of them, but that's what the concrete gets poured onto, and those just stay in place. So they're sacrificial. They'll stay there. No reason to take them out. But I thought
Is that
there's
just to lighten the weight of the bridge, so that some of the structure is aluminum and air and not all concrete?
Not really. There's two different ways to do this, and they have their option on how to do it. They can construct formwork out of plywood, which is very time consuming, and then at the end you have to take it out.
Take the forms out.
Or you can use these pre-manufactured forms that you just leave in place. So once you pour your bridge deck and it cures, they just stay there. Yeah. But then this picture doesn't show the studs being welded on. The stud welder showed up yesterday at 2 o'clock and moved amazingly quickly in putting these studs on there. In an hour and a half, basically they had run out of work to do.
Wow.
Because they were catching up with the guys that were setting the deck pans. Yeah, they were amazing. So they're back out today, doing as much as they can. Probably won't be here tomorrow, but they'll be back on Monday, and they'll be done. So right now, the deck pans are, as of this morning, the deck pans were over top of Pier 1. So we're about 2/3 of the way across the bridge. So by the middle of next week or sooner, they'll be completely done. Get your edge forms completely boxed out, and then We're ready to tie steel. So the guys that tie the rebar are coming in next week, and they'll be tying late next week and into the following week. That will go pretty quickly, and then we're ready to pour. So
I tell you,
we're knocking on the door here.
Yeah. As focused as we were down the road a bit, this is just, it's really a great piece of construction. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if we have any more pictures now. I actually just took one picture. Hal and I went out at different times and took almost the exact same pictures because it made sense to take them. But one of them standing up there looking down off of Rio Mill, over Rio Mill Field, looks pretty good. But I'm sure by next meeting we'll have a picture over top of the river. We could have gone out there, but they were working.
Yeah,
down their way.
yeah.
Lane closures on Rio Mills, we really haven't had any this week. If they have some equipment or material coming in, they might do a short-term flagger operation just to stop any cars that are coming, let the truck come in, then let them go again, but that's been pretty sparse. So over the next 2 weeks, continuing the fine grading of the subgrade, ponds 3 and 5 finalization, hauling the excess material off-site. They do have some excess material that they will be hauling to a permitted location wherever they end up. They talked about a couple options. So far, everything's up past Airport Road. Edge form installation continues and wraps up shortly. Abutment A MSE panels, as they bring that fill up, they'll bring those MSE panels up with it. Storm sewer, they're working on that behind the coals at the very northern end of the project. Drainage for abutments A and B. And pond 8 drainage structures, tying the deck steel and the stand place form, that's the deck pans, and stud welding will wrap up next week. Same thing as the other for lane closures, just a flagging operation. Morgan?
Dave, I was curious if the erosion and sediment control issues that DEQ had flagged a little while back, have those been satisfactorily resolved?
They have. We have 2 different permits that were inspected. We have we call the VSMP permit, which is the construction permit. That was re-inspected. We've received their report, and it was much better inspection, very good inspection this time. And we have had the follow-up inspection on the VWP, the Virginia Water Protection Permit, and that inspection went very well, but we've not received the report from the EQ yet. So they've done a good job of making sure everything was in good condition. Yeah. Any other questions on Burkeville? Okay, I think Jeanette?
Well,
Hillsdale.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeanette Yanichek. I'm the project manager for the City of Charlottesville for Hillsdale. And the work we're doing this week, we're placing borrow from the cul-de-sac of Pepsi Place up to the post office. Next week, we're going to start doing additional work up there, trying to provide access for the post office continually. We're doing storm drain installation along Pepsi Place. The utilities are now out of the way, so we can continue on placing a couple Doterra boxes as well as regular stormwater. We're also placing fill at the northern end of the project near the stormwater pond. We're using flagging to make sure that traffic, construction vehicles can enter and exit safely. We are placing the fill on the pipe that will be underneath the new road that will be connecting two the stormwater structures together, two of the basins. And then we're doing a modular wall excavation undercut between Pepsi and the post office, again in preparation for the large retaining wall that will be supporting the road facing Pepsi. And then we're also completing work on the underdrain and placing stone on the Homewood Suite section. And that's from existing Hillsdale Drive to basically India. And we're looking to try and open up that segment right before Christmas, late December. And that will help facilitate construction of the roundabout after that. So let's see, there's been no lane closures, it's just been the flagging operations this week. Next week, we're going to have some flagging operations again for stormwater, drop inlet installation at India and where Line currently meet.
Does the post office, will the post office have a back entrance onto this road or not?
They will have a back
For the public or
exit.
just for them?
Just for themselves, for security reasons. We're ensuring that their fence is reinstated, and that is where they do all of their business, mail sorting, et cetera.
Somebody could
So
mess with them if they were in there.
we proposed that we could provide
I
that.
remember that, yeah.
They weren't excited about that
Yeah.
opportunity. So this is a picture of where we have driven piles for the northern abutment. We have a little bit more work that needs to take place here. That's largely completed. And then this, not too pretty of a picture, but this is our stormwater basin that's existing, that the county owns, that we worked with to ensure that we have a good plan for the new the new basins. And this is where the fill is being placed because the pipe is connecting. It's laying right there. So, all right, so the next 2 weeks, we're going to be continuing to place fill at the basin. We're taking a week off. We'll be doing it in 2 weeks. We're going to continue preparing for the modular wall between Pepsi and the post office. We're going to continue with storm drain installation throughout the project. We're going to start focusing between Seminole Court this month and to where the proposed roundabout will be. So we're preparing that area for, again, the construction of the roundabout. So there will be a little utility work in addition to the storm.
Excuse me. The next time that you do this, because I think, because we're just now starting to get these, it would be helpful to me at least to have a project map. Because when you say Seminole Court, I'm not sure exactly where that is in space, and we had to do that with the other projects as well, because sometimes you're so intimately involved with it, but we've never been up there because there wasn't a road, and so.
Right, absolutely.
That's on us, really. I mean, we gave this to
Yeah, of
Jeanette,
course.
so we'll do that.
I brought a very long, bulky map.
I'm sure. I'm just thinking of sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'm trying to give you locations, but yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You're not used to going behind the post office
Right.
in between them and Pepsi. Let's see. So we're also going to be, again, preparing for the eventual permanent entrance to the post office, maintaining access. We were also notified today that they're working on the footer. Well, it's not called the footer. What do we call this thing? The stem wall for the Seminole Square North building. So that's the portion of the building that we cleaved, that we removed 3 storefronts. There's actually 2 businesses. So they're doing that today and tomorrow so that they can start putting back the outside of those buildings next week as well. So both the block and then something called the FS. So that's exciting. Again, no significant lane closures for next week. Just going to have a little bit of flagging operations that we're notifying the public of through VDOT's wonderful notification system.
Very good, very good. Back up one, Linda. Jeanette,
Yes.
how are things off to a good start with your contractor?
Yes, they've been working really well with us,
Good.
with the public, particularly the post office, who can have a lot of demands,
Yeah.
rightfully so. So that they've had a good relationship, and that's really helping facilitate that work. We are looking ahead to ensure that we're continuing that coordination. So the big thing that we're going to be doing that's going to be a change for people is opening up that Homewood Suite section to build the roundabout.
Yeah.
When we build the roundabout, we're going to have to cut off access so that people that normally would come in Seminole Court to access about 14 different businesses, they're going to now be directed from 29 to hydraulic to the new section of Hillsdale. So I know signing was important,
Mhm.
so we were looking to do basically the blue and white
Wow.
signs that VDOT did
Mhm.
with each individual business's name on them to point people to the new way of getting there while we're building the roundabout.
So a temporary programming.
It's a temporary program that will be removed once it's opened up again, once the roundabout construction is
Okay.
complete, which should take a couple months.
I talked to the panel when we were developing that program for Route 29, worked with another local government that used the same process, and it really it really paid off during construction in terms of helping keep people focused on where those access to businesses were.
Absolutely. We don't want a bunch of confused
Yeah.
drivers out there.
And I think I'm in the same boat than Kristen, despite the fact that I'm very familiar with the area. I used to own a business right there on Sand Road.
Right.
When you put in the roundabout, you're going to close India Road and Sand Road, or what exactly are you doing?
Yes.
Where is it?
Right now, you would, say you're going into Seminole Square, so you're coming in Seminole Court, and you would take a right onto Zan. There is a turn.
It's right, it's India Road there, isn't it? Is it Zan?
I thought it was Zan, but,
Okay,
okay.
maybe right.
That's all right.
Those names changed several times.
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead.
So as you, where Zan, India, and Line connect, there's going to be a roundabout.
Yes.
And that's what we need to close off access on either each portions of where they connect,
On
the
all three
roadways.
roads.
So we can focus on building the roundabout within a couple months' time. So that's where we're focusing on ensuring that access to the businesses so that people know.
So if somebody is on Zan Road exiting the car wash,
Mhm.
normally, one way to get to a traffic light is to make that loop around and go to a traffic light and then go wherever they're going.
Correct.
They won't be able to do that.
They will not
because
be
Zan
able
Road is
to
going
do
be
that.
cut off.
That's correct.
Okay.
They'll need to take a right and then possibly a U-turn or go back into Seminole
Okay.
Square to turn around. I mean, I don't want to tell people how to do that,
Well,
but
no, it's interesting.
yeah.
And also, if they were southbound and they want to go to the to the car wash, they would make a left at the traffic light at Seminole, what is it,
Seminole Court or Seminole Square? No, Seminole Court.
Seminole Court.
Into Seminole
Yes,
Square.
Seminole Court,
Too many
and then
Seminoles.
turn into Line Road and so on.
Yes, when I come up with the signage plan, I'd like to create an exhibit, and I'm going to walk around to each of the businesses to outline, this is what we're
So they won't
proposing.
be able to do that here. So essentially, Zan will become like a stub for a while.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
it was when the car was
Originally?
first built 30
Ah.
some years ago. The
Gotcha.
rest didn't exist. Okay. Now,
Yes.
you said that in order to alleviate that, you were opening something else, and I got lost what the something else was. that you
Sorry.
opened.
So you know the section that's by Whole Foods and Gold's Gym and Kmart?
Yes.
It's off of Hydraulic. It is
It
called
ends
Hillsdale
at,
Drive.
Stops there, it stops, yeah.
Yes, that will open up actually. And you will drive past the Homewood Suites to your left, and then the vacant lot, which is now the commercial, or the construction area. Construction trailers, you'll go through and you'll connect to where you are now to India. Do you want me to get the map out? Would that help?
Well, maybe after the meeting.
Okay, all right.
Maybe next time you may be able to
Yeah,
have
we all
a diagram.
Hey Lou, maybe you could connect with Jeanette. Remember the detour map, the MOT graphic that we prepared
Yes.
early on that was really helpful for this group? And I don't, not a lot of work, but why don't you connect with Jeanette?
Okay.
Guys, we could get something like that and.
And for all the thousands of people who watch it online, I think it would be helpful just to be able to visualize the project.
Right, yeah, and then we'll,
Right.
then
I
we'll.
think early
have
on
it.
that happened.
We'll
but
have
It's
it,
been a while.
yeah.
Yes,
And I'm glad to hear you're doing this one-on-one. You know, Lou had her walking into businesses during that closure period. I think it's Lou and Chris Reed, one of the smartest things most effective things we did, particularly during that time.
Yes, when they have the right contact.
Yeah.
They know exactly
Right.
where to send their
Right.
concerns. It's very helpful.
And will those people be able to call that same phone number that everybody else calls, or is it a separate number for this project?
Well,
Probably appreciate not.
Let's just say it's a public number and it's out there, but that number and Chris are for the design build project.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
If somebody happened to call that, and I don't know if you have a similar number, we could certainly,
That would probably be mine.
that would probably be your phone number.
Yes.
Uh,
But we might want to put that on the website
Yeah.
for the whole project, just so people do, because eventually it's going to start affecting people, especially when you have the closures.
Yes, on the website, we certainly have it to our front desk at NDS, so that if I'm not
That's great.
available, that gets handled
It
by
gets to the
someone
right
else in the
spot.
staff. We also have my email address as well as the email address to just a general project website that a few people have access to that email, so, yeah.
What we should do though, now that I hear Kristen saying that, is we've routinely reported back on any email comments that came either to the website
So we
or to
know
Lou
it's
or anybody
sensitive.
individually. And I should touch base with you to do the same thing
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. We've had a few.
Yeah.
Hampton Inn called recently emailed about the signage. And,
Right,
oh,
okay.
I was prepared for that.
Okay.
There's been some interest with the stormwater basin, and I worked with a couple of the citizens there to ensure that when I was doing the monthly update, I added a little section particularly for the stormwater basin, and that seems to have addressed that issue. There's been a little concern about operations on Hillsdale existing and Greenbrier and site distance, and we've been working with a citizen regarding that to do the best we can in a very limited situation. But the monthly updates,
That was
hopefully
great, yeah.
everyone's getting those. We're trying to be as detailed as possible.
And I made sure those got forwarded to the Place Design Task Force people, because they were concerned and wanted to
Yes.
feel like they had some.
Yes, absolutely. We send that through all of our, actually,
Great.
our city committees and anyone that signed up citywide, or if you wanted to go to hillsdaledrive.org, there's a place to sign up for project updates as well. I have well over 100 people from the last citizen information meeting we held. We collected a lot of email addresses, and then they've been coming in a couple every few weeks. So it's been very good.
Good. Good.
Are there any other questions? We're gonna plant 86 shade trees. As a city person, I know how many trees we're planting, so.
Jeanette, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Speaking of trees, we talked about the enhanced landscaping plan at Route 29 to 50, and it gave you a schedule for that bid advertisement, which did go out on October 20th, but no bids were received. And I learned from VDOT, it was put out as
Small business.
as a small business set aside, and there were no bidders for the work. So the contract terms, those administrative terms are being revised, and the schedule, the landscaping plan hasn't changed. And I will bring you a drawing, Kristen, an example. All we have right now are just the contract drawings, and that's not what you were looking for. But the rebid, I learned just this morning, the rebid will be the week of November the 14th. Open bids the first week of December, and we should still make that spring planting season. Do you know how the contract was being recast as far as the rebid? Did they just remove the set aside?
I don't know exactly.
Okay,
What they ended up with.
okay.
I think they removed the set aside and added back in maybe a small VDE percentage.
Okay.
But I'm not sure why they didn't get any
Yeah,
responses,
I was surprised, but
I think
the long and short of it is we didn't. So we will keep an eye on that because we don't want to miss the spring. So there's going to be a project on the streets sometime the week of November the 14th, and to the extent that you know folks that are interested in that business, nothing wrong with making them aware of that.
Chris, is there any attempt to reach out, like through, some of the small business development groups in the city to
For this,
make sure they get a hold of these?
we can try. There hasn't been to date that I'm aware of.
there might be some alternative channels to some, if it's a smaller project. Happy to do it.
I can't remember our approximate value.
I haven't seen.
I think I remember a number, but I can't. It's a good little piece of business for somebody that does this business. We covered the planters and plantings on the project, during the project update. You saw the pictures of that, and we also covered this item as well. When I put them on the agenda, I didn't have the pictures yet, and I thought when the pictures came in, those spoke better than anything we could do. I think that clears us up on the pedestrian crossings. Morgan, you good?
Yeah, I missed
Yeah.
from the meeting, but
Yeah.
it looked good, and I appreciated your email to remind me that's what the plan had been, and I think.
Right.
I think
Right.
it's good. I also was gonna point out, where are some of those islands that, I still think it'd be nice if they were a little more prominent, juxtaposed against the road.
And now they have yellow, is that what you said?
I think some of those islands sort of cut into the stamped brick pattern, actually makes them contrast a little bit better, at least there, so, anyway, I'm sorry for missing that part of the meeting, but I just wanted to.
No,
say
that's okay.
It looks good now that's been brought through those
Yeah.
islands.
Okay. Signal timing update, Joel. I know we got some stuff from Grant.
We got about an hour's worth of stuff to go through. A couple minutes. Okay, so last meeting, October 6th, I think that week was the week that the RK&K, who is the engineer to the design builder, was out there observing and recommending some changes. So I have a list of things that we've done since that date. Actually, on the day after that, October 7th, we did install a new morning peak hour timing plan to the corridor. That consisted mostly of changing the offsets. If you remember what we talked about, the offsets are what gives you that green band north and south on the corridor. They also made changes to the lead lags, which are your left turns, whether they're before or after the through movement. So they made some adjustments to those two items, mostly to try and get the green band a little bit better off in there. On October 11th, we evaluated the morning peak hour by doing 5 runs through the corridor, north and south. We noticed that the northbound travel time was reduced by 7.8%. They said there's still some stops going on in the corridor. Those stops that were occurring randomly on the corridor have been pushed up north more towards Airport Road and Town Center Drive. So we're going to continue to work on those to try and get better continuous flow through there. The southbound travel times were reduced by 13%. Stops have been reduced. I don't have numbers of stops before and after. I'm going to ask for that for next time.
Do we have an idea what those percents mean in terms of time?
He gave me percents, and I think the travel times we were observing were anywhere from 9 to 13 minutes. So,
Traffic manager.
1 minute or so.
Yeah.
We believe we can further improve the southbound travel times, and hopefully we'll have some additional data on that. As of October 19th, we did receive those revised RK&K, the engineers' offset timings. We have not implemented those at this time, and we're not sure when we will. November 2nd, we added green time to the eastbound left at Airport Road, mostly due to some comments we were receiving. That eastbound, so as you're coming from the airport to go northbound on 29, we had to add a little bit of green time there in that hour. That did reduce some of the green time in the other movements, however, doesn't seem to have much effect on those movements. Currently, so we talked about a couple things last time, mostly at Woodbrook, at the intersection of Woodbrook, how the signal that's off at 29 over there at Lowe's, we talked about getting the yellow flashing arrow as you're coming towards 29 to get into Lowe's, because there's so much traffic going the other way. It would give us more green time to get them into is it the Kroger or Giant Shopping Center? Kroger. So that has not been implemented, but as of yesterday, traffic engineering was working on getting an implementation plan on that. I don't have a date. They don't have a date at this time when they're going to do it. I'd like to see it sooner than later. We also talked about making the signal on the side streets of Woodbrook an unsplit phase. It's currently a split phase where all traffic flows from one direction or the other direction. We are still working. We have not completed that model yet. I don't have a date when that'll be completed. They do say that they plan on having this Woodbrook done by the end of the year, is what they're shooting for right now. I don't know if that's a hard date or not. It's, I think there's some variables there
How
that
can
we're
we
not
get
sure
some
about.
hard dates on those items we don't have them for? Who do I talk to?
Me.
Okay. all
I'm
right.
gonna try, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like
This is
to-
all, I got this, I got.
Yeah, no, I know, we
tried to
just
put
got it. We
together.
just got it yesterday
So
afternoon.
I have the same I think I have
Okay.
a lot of the same
Yeah.
questions. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll
All right.
have this, we'll keep, signals are are a continuous process. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be able to answer some of those questions next time.
Okay. And then, so we have a set of recommendations, I guess, or software changes from Arcane Code?
Offset timing.
Offset timing change.
Yeah, and I think the way it's working now,
That
is
haven't been
RK&K give
right.
them to our traffic engineer, Grant, our signal guy, and I think he kind of evaluates whether he really sees an advantage to those
Yeah,
timings, from what I
okay.
can tell now, and he's kind of, I'm not sure how he's determining when he implements that or not at this time.
So we had, if you think about those dates, so it was October 6th that
Yeah.
RK&K was out doing their corridor
That week of the,
analysis.
that week of the
Yeah.
6th.
So the next day, they made changes to the offset times. And so a lot of those recommendations that RK&K had, because Northwest Regional Operations and RK&K were making the same observations, they had already made.
Yeah, so
Right.
it might have occurred already, and whether there's further tweaks or not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I will tell you, just for general information, last time, if I remember correctly, last time, before all the construction happened, that the corridor was timed, an actual timing plan, I think it was back in 2011, 2012. I always assumed it was a pretty simple thing to time signals, until I started talking to these guys. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, back then, it was a very long operation that cost somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 just for the plan. So it seems like a simple thing to do, but it's a pretty involved situation. So I think we're kind of observing and going here
Thanks.
versus the whole quarter plan maybe they did back then, but it is a pretty good process.
And I think the phase one of the adaptive signals is helping Grant evaluate those.
Yeah, so when we went to the,
Recommendations.
out to Stanton and did that trip, and Grant showed you all the information, how he processes it, he's able to do these things pretty quickly and collect data a lot more efficiently than he used to, so. Versus where they used to have to go observe everything, then do the timing plan is very
Right.
involved. A lot of it can be little bits at a time to make some changes.
Okay. All right, very good. Any questions for Joel? I just thought we would review January, February, and March. You know, we would have 3 more meetings this year, the 17th, December 1st, and December 15th is what we have on the calendar. Yeah, November 17th, December 1st, and December 15th. And then we're going to go to our once a month, and we talked through that and said when we got to the end of the first quarter, we would kind of assess the frequency of our meetings. I would still anticipate giving you an update on a bi-weekly basis, just probably sort of our agenda item 6, maybe pared down a little bit so you can stay on top of the progress. But the schedule we have right now is January 12th, February 9th, and March 9th.
And for some reason, the way that the calendars kind of cycle together, on March 9th, I will probably miss the first half hour because I have a jail board meeting that runs
Okay.
until 2.
Okay,
No big deal.
okay. I mean, yes,
I
sir.
think you have the typo there. You mean Thursday, not Tuesday.
Yeah, those are Thursdays.
Those certainly are Thursdays.
Yeah, I thought-
Yeah, it started with a T, and you're exactly
End of
right.
the day.
My bad, yes,
I
Thursday.
suffer from mild dyslexia sometimes.
Second Thursday, yes, thank you,
Not with
thank
the
you,
T, yes.
thank you very much, thank you. As many times as you look, you always. I usually get up Thursday morning, and, I have the presentation all finished, and Dave's looked at it, and we've made a couple of revisions, and every Thursday, before I send it to Linda, I look at it and invariably find not more than one or two things, but boy, as much as I looked at that one, I sure never even thought
First,
about
I
it.
thought you had changed the date, the day of the week. Oh, that
Second
works-
Thursday
That works
of
as a
the
meeting
week.
that just,
So,
that I go to on Tuesdays that ends at about 1:30, that's perfect. And it's nearby too. Then I
But
look,
so we'll stick with that, and we'll see where that takes us. You know, as we said, we had so much focus on the GSI, but we still have a lot of important work out there to finish. I mean, you know, Hillsdale and Berkmar, that is our connected parallel road network. 700-foot-long bridge to finish and open up, and then the Route 29 widening, which frankly is our largest investment dollar-wise among the three projects.
As I'm looking more carefully, because I was kind of skipping
Sure.
through, I realized that each time that is the same day as the jail board meeting. And how difficult would it be to have it be the other Thursday, since we've been meeting?
Or the
every-
other Tuesday.
Or Monday, for that matter.
It's not difficult it's your pleasure. I seriously, Dave, you have your count, it's not so it would be the 19th, the 16th, and the 16th?
Well, not necessarily. They've been every other week, and so it would be
Yes.
2 weeks before, presumably.
Well,
2 weeks after, 2 weeks.
yeah, we wouldn't want to move this one
No.
up.
Yeah. It doesn't matter to me which one it is, except that on that particular Thursday every month, I have a meeting that ends at 2 at the jail, which is as far from here as you can be.
Okay.
so your meeting is always on the second Thursday.
It's, yes, and it's
So it'd
12:30
have to be on
to
the first or the
2,
third.
and
Yeah.
sometimes it goes over, so.
The first is probably pushing it a little close to the first of the year. Do you want to make it the third? The third, Henry? Does it work? Brad?
It's fine with me.
So that would be the 19th, the 16th, and the 16th. On Thursday. That's fine with me.
That would be lovely, if people don't mind. I mean, I know I always race in a little bit late anyway, but at least then I have a fighting chance.
Well, that's why I wanted to review it,
Great.
to see if that's still what we want to do, and we'll
So
move.
what are the dates now?
It would be January 19th, Henry,
19?
and then February 16th and February 16th, and March 16th.
March, right.
I stayed up way too late watching the ball. What was a fabulous World
It was an
Series, I
amazing
thought.
game.
It was an amazing game and amazing series, but getting up this morning was, and almost everybody I saw along the way stopping for coffee, people going like, oh, man, I was like, yes, January 19th, February 16th, and March 16th.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And after 2+ years, it finally occurred to me that there was no need to have a separate piece of paper for agenda item 12 and agenda item 13. So who knows what will happen 2 years from now. New business and wrap up. Chip?
The only thing, it felt nice, and it just reminded me when I heard Joel talk about RK&K at the governor's conference. They thought enough of the GSI that it was their full conference table backdrop. So probably a 6 feet by 8 feet picture of the GSI with the picture of the flag hanging down.
Oh, that picture, yes. Yes.
Documents now.
Which what?
Which is on half of VDOT.
Yeah, that was a great picture. We didn't show you all that picture. Awesome.
Yeah,
Huge American flag on the
before
very
they
side.
opened it.
Yeah.
Hanging around.
Yeah, we had it. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
get royalties out.
Somebody asked for an autograph on it. It was We have it on, it's on the cover of our business plan as well as the VTCA direction.
Yeah, it is, it is.
It's an impressive picture.
It's a good picture. Morgan?
I'm great, thanks.
Okay. Mark? Kristen? Brad? Henry? Thank you very much, and Jeanette, thank you again. I think, let's you and I talk about getting you back here on maybe a regular basis or relatively regular basis, however it works with your schedule. All right, we'll see you on Thursday, November the 17th.
And thanks again for the coffee. I really needed it after staying up late last night.
The ones inside.
The intent where you look at the draw pictures and say, this is how you get to me with the business opportunity and the meetings, but they just love having it.
I think the in-house version. Doing it in-house kind of.
You look a little bit like, you're wondering.
Right, so. When I changed the program.
Sorry, it's fine. It's not so strong that little muddy is not that big.
It doesn't seem like the bird bar is picking up.
That would be the other
People
appreciated.
You know how it goes. You know how it goes.
Yep, let's go
That
over
was real
here.
nice.
Who's at the laziest I've
Traffic shifting over the bird bar.
I built some credit cards.
I always have.
I think it's a good.
I'm glad we had you.
Maybe that's it.
She's really good at
I was just curious.
She was a big.
Because I've seen this on Saturdays, midday something. It's morning.
Yeah.
You go wrong.